Welcome to our next max strength block. Today for our A block, we'll have our box squats. That'll be 3 sets of 8. Then we'll have our medicine ball dead bug. That will be 3 sets of 8 on each side. So for this block, each time you do this video, I want you to remember the weights that you did the past time and do more the next time. All right, so try to keep increasing that weight, and let's get into explanation. So for our box squats, you can hold a weight at your chest up in goblet, set your feet right outside your hips. You are going to sit back into a chair, fully sit to stand. All right, so make sure you are pushing your knees out there. Then we are going to grab our medicine ball or whatever sort of object that you have that you can place in between your same arm and your same knee and squeeze, like a towel, anything that you may have. So same arm, same leg, pushing that belly flat into the ground, making sure our back is flat. So opposite arm, opposite leg is not going to be the case this time. We're going to be doing same arm, same leg. So I'm going to reach out, squeezing my back against the ground, and back to the same spot. All right, let's get started. First set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, go into our medicine ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sure you're squeezing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, starting over. On to set number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, now medicine ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, going into our third set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, medicine ball dead bug. Last one. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Good job. That is our A block. Now we are going on to our B block. All right, welcome to B block. So B block, we are going to have our dumbbell glute bridge. That'll be 3 sets of 8. Then we'll have our side laying hip, internal and external rotation. We're going to go 3 sets of 6 in each of those positions. All right. So for our dumbbell or kettlebell or any sort of weight that you have, glute bridge, we're going to be seated on the ground. You're going to grab your weight closer to you. You're going to be laying completely flat on the ground. On your back, you're going to put the dumbbell at your hip. Bring your heels up closer to your bottom. From here, we're going to dig our heels into the ground, raise our hips up to the sky, squeeze our glutes and our hamstrings at the top, and come back down. All right, so again, right there, we're going to have 8 reps. Then we are going to do our side laying hip external and internal hip rotation. So we are going to be laying down on our side. Now, you can have an object in between your knees and then in between your feet, or you can use a mini band and put it on the tops of your knees or at your ankles, okay? So for this example, I'm going to be using an object. So I have this foam roller that I'm going to be using. So when we are doing our internal rotation, you're going to place that object or have that band. From here, you're going to squeeze your knees together and you're going to bring your heel up as high as you can and back down. So that will be our internal rotation there. Then you are going to move the object or the band down at your feet, squeeze your feet, bring your knee up to the sky and back down. Again, you'll have the band here for this, and then you will have the band in your feet for the other one, okay? So again, that'll be 6 in each of those positions on each side. All right, let's get started. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, here's our internal rotation. At the knee, squeeze. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to put it on my feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you're going to flip over to the other side. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Moving it to our feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, go into our glute bridge. Second set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, this time I'm going to use a band just so I can quickly show you what that looks like. So first, around your feet. Knees together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bring it up to my knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to flip to the other side. I'm going to do the same one since the band's already there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to move it to my feet or my ankles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. All right, go into our third set, last one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, now I'm going to go back to the foam roller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At the feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, good job. So that was our B block. Now we're moving on to our C. All right, so for our C block, we're going to have our seated vertical skull crusher. All right, so for our C block, we're going to have our seated vertical skull crushers. All of these 3 exercises are going to be 3 sets of 10. So next after that, we're going to have our dumbbell or kettlebell bicep curl. Then we are going to have our banded pull aparts. So for our seated vertical skull crusher, you're going to want to have a dumbbell. You're going to turn your hands upside down. So the middle of the dumbbell where the handle is going to be in between my pointer finger and my thumb. Then I'm going to place it directly behind my head, tuck my chin to my chest, and I'm going to fully extend my elbows and then bring them back down. Fully extend and back down. All right. Then we are going to go on to our bicep curl. So I'm going to have a kettlebell. You can widen your knees a little bit. That way you have full extension. From here, you're going to grab the sides of the kettlebell if you have a kettlebell. And all you're going to do is curl to your chest and back down. All right. Lastly, our banded pull aparts. You can grab the band wherever you would like. 2 is going to be harder than 1 if you have a band just like mine. So from here, arms fully extended, I'm going to pull apart, tap the middle of my chest, and bring it back to the middle. All right, we have 3 sets here, so let's get started. Here we go, skull crushers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, go into our bicep curls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, pull apart. 1, 2, 3. Work on squeezing your shoulder blades in the back. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Go into our second set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, going into our bicep curls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, pull apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, third and final set here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Bicep curls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, pull apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. Good job. That was C block. Now we're going on to our finisher. All right. So for our finisher, we are going to have leg raises, windmills, and crunches. All of those will be 30 seconds on, 15 seconds off, and we are going to go for 2 rounds. So leg raises, we're going to be laying flat on the ground. Hands can go underneath your bottom if you need to. Our legs are going to be fully extended. Go as low to the ground as you can with your heels without fully resting them on the ground if you can, and all the way back up. All right, so for our next one is our windmills. Arms are going to be into T. If you need to bend your knees, you can bend them, or straighten them will be harder. So bent, go over to the side, squeeze that core for some rotational core action, over to the other side, and back. All right. So for our last one, you can do multiple variations of it. You can have your legs up if that's more comfortable for you, or you can have your feet flat on the ground. From here, I do not recommend you pulling on your head. You can rest your arms here, but do not pull against and pull your neck down. All right. So from here, you're going to crunch, shoulder blades off the ground, and back down. All right. So let's get that timer going and let's get started. All right, leg raises. 5, 4. There we go. Three, 2, 1. Then we are going into our windmills. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Make sure you're pulling that rotational core all the way back and over. Five, 4. Good. Onto the crunches. 5, 4, 3. Good. Starting over, going to our leg raises. This is our last round. 5, 4, 2, 1. Good. Windmills. 5, 4, 3. There we go. 5, 4, 3. Good. All right. Last exercise, crunches. And then we are done. 5, 4. 3, 2, and 1. Good job. All right, that was our day 1 of our max strength block. See you next time for day 2. Good job.